continue with the broadcast this morning. And it's time now to look at India and what is happening in India. We're talking about the problems and the violence that is taking place in the Tripura district of India, where we've learned about an Indian court that has granted bail to two journalists who were detained in the state of Tripura for spreading communal disharmony. Now, the journalists Samriti Sakunya and Swarna Jha, they were reportedly held in response to a complaint by a local Hindu right-wing activist who alleges that they gave a speech instigating Muslims against the Hindu community. And we joined on the line this morning once again by Umar Shariff, who is a political analyst and a scholar of Islam. Sheikh Umar Shariff, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And as always, welcome. We appreciate you taking time out talking to us here at Salam Media this morning.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Sheikh Inayat Wadi. Thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Yes, now what we see happening out in the Tripura area, the violence that is taking place is indicative of what is happening in large parts of India. And we're seeing, as the case with the two journalists, somebody goes out, a right-wing activist goes out reporting these journalists that they are instigating Muslims against the Hindu community. And suddenly we find that the justice system, the police, the courts get involved and very, very quick in terms of charging people who they deem to be spreading this, what they term anti-Hindu sentiment.
Firstly, I would like to say it is the violation of human rights, which is very clearly seen, and it is happening from the end of the police department. The police department is responsible for filing a case against these journalists, that is Samruti and Swarna Jha, and they are answerable to the people of this country and to the constitutional system. So what I want to bring into the notice, as you must be aware by now, that the judge of the High Court has asked both of them to be released and to be free of any charges. And PCI, that is the Press Club of India, has taken initiative over this case, and they have pleaded before the NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, to take cognizance of what is happening, of the violation which is initiated by the Tripura Police Department. So all of these things, although we do understand Tripura has been in news for so many cases and riots of late, and a lot of people have violated the system, and all of these things are it's on records, and we can very clearly understand what's happening. But at the same time, we must say we have hopes in the system. The Constitution of India is giving rights to everybody, and it is about how we are going to pursue our rights. Yes, there are possibilities. There are possibilities, as what we have seen in many cases, that justice is delayed, and as it is very well known, justice delayed is justice denied. In many such cases, a lot of people are there behind the bars, even today, under the UAPA Act. UAPA Act is unlawful Activities Prevention Act, is a very draconian act which has been applied on certain journalists, and these journalists are now languishing in the jail for no offense. A lot of people, we can talk about Siddiq Kapan was arrested in UP, and Meera Singh was arrested once again in Tripura. All of such things are still a pending case. And while we are talking about these two journalists, we must also remember hundreds of people who are there behind the bars today. So I think the NHRC should take very strong action now, and to assure the people of India that we still live in a civilian society.
Yes. Now, we must also remember, Sheikh Umar Shariff, is these are not Muslim journalists that have reported. And also, when one looks at the use of social media, because when we look at these two journalists, they had tweeted images and videos of mosques that had been vandalized. And when one looks at the type of charges that are leveled against them. They talk about promoting enmity. They talking about, the anti-Hindu sentiment, talking about intimidation. Now, all these buzzwords are being used about promoting enmity between religious groups, criminal conspiracies, all sorts of things. And it does appear at this point in time that the police in particular have got a free hand to act and to do as they wish.
Yeah, wherever the BJP ministers are in power, so there we are getting to hear such kinds of nuisances and untoward incidents which have been recorded. Like for instance, Uttar Pradesh, and then you see Tripura and certain other parts of North India. We get to hear such cases of violation. But I would like to bring into your notice that as I come from South India, and as I've been saying this many times, in South India, it's way too different. It's totally different. Of course, there are certain instances very rarely we get to hear such violations, but in comparison to what we hear in the north, here in the south, it is much safer. So that doesn't mean that we are going to be relaxed. No, wherever in any part of the world, we are going to respond to the atrocities. We're going to raise our voice. And in particular, what's happening in Kashmir, in recent times, we hear of two businessmen being shot on the pretext of supporting the terrorist activity. Even without any trials, they have been shot dead. So now this is a very serious concern that is really disturbing, because there is a court procedure, there is a system in place, and if the person who is investigating can just go on shooting, then what is that? We have the court of law, and why is there the trial process? So there are certain serious problems that the Indian subcontinent is facing at the moment, and for that, at the same time, I would like to say the majority of the people happening to be Hindus, they are refuting these kind of things, these kind of notions, which is actually kind of smearing religious communities with hatred and causing to create certain rifts amongst them, is all detested by the majority of the Hindus of India. So that is a positive thing that I would like to say. The majority of the Indians are for peace and are for justice. It is the minuscule and which is actually being governed and orchestrated by the people in power, which is creating more problems. So we hope and pray that in the coming days things would get to a proper system and in a way that people would find it appreciated.
Yes, I can appreciate the fact that most of the Hindus, obviously in India, are anti what all these what is happening. But what is also of concern of late is the number of mosques that have come under the radar as far as vandalizing is concerned. And also, we've heard cases even out of Gujarat where people have been now prevented from praying in some of the mosques. We've seen on social media. I've seen a video clip where in one area, cow dung was spread all over just to prevent Muslims from performing salah. So this is a major issue, because when we're talking about religious freedom, when we're talking about mosques, and we know what had happened with Ayodhya, and this going forward is something that one needs to be deeply, deeply worried about as far as the status of our mosques go.
Yeah, you have rightly brought across a very important matter, that is about vandalizing the masjids or the mosques. Now, if you were looking to the recent chronology, how this all started, it started by the VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, who initiated a rally condemning the atrocities done in Bangladesh against the Hindus of Bangladesh, wherein some of the temples were vandalized. So the BHP, in the form of protesting, they have also taken up to the streets while violating the rights of common men there in Tripura and trying to make a point in a way that tit for a tat, in the sense, what we are going to answer here will be the answer for the people in Bangladesh. That's what they have, although it is not pronounced, their actions prove that this is what they are, denoting, or they are trying to gesture around. So this is their mentality. Like whatever happens in the world, if they are going to answer that they're not able to reach up to the people across the world, they are in a way making a statement by their actions to the people of India. So I wouldn't say what's right and what's wrong. It's not about justifying any act of unruliness. It's not about justifying any arsonry. But I am trying to say what is running in their mind. Their minds are filled with such corrupted and deviated ways of reaction. They don't understand that the Muslims of India are against all the atrocities done in any part of the world, including what happened in Bangladesh in recent times, wherein the temples were desecrated and temples were vandalized. And in fact, the actions have been taken by the Bangladeshi government immediately, where the people, whoever has been involved in such a riot, they were all picked up and put behind bars. But these people here, they make it an opportunity. They take this opportunity and they want to make use of every international news into something which would add on to fuel to their agenda in the Indian subcontinent. And that is quite possible when they have their ministers in power in lands like Tripura or in places like Uttar Pradesh. And that is not possible deep down south, and it is not possible in much of the metropolitan and cosmopolitan cities. So it's a mentality. It is the uneducated goons who are being indoctrinated by their, you would want to call them gurus. Yes, they are their teachers. The gurus of satanic activity, you can say, the gurus of hatred, you can say. These people are the ones who are condemnable, and they are supposed to be taken to the court of law, and they have to be punished under the law.
Yes, Sheikh Umar Shariff, Jazakallah khairan so much for that. And as always, for your time with us here on Salam Media for that update. We wish you all the best, inshallah. Allah grant you safety, Allah grant you health, and Allah accept your efforts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Sheikh Inayatwadi, for having me, and it was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Indian-based political analyst and scholar of Islam, Sheikh Umar Shariff, joining us this morning regarding the violence that is taking place out in Tripura. Now, this is an area in India which is pretty close to Bangladesh, and it is actually encircled three sides by Bangladesh and connected by a thin corridor to the neighboring Indian state of Assam. The time is just gone, 9 a.m. We are heading for the news. Tabile Duma at the Al Ansar newsroom is standing by.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining